What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I want to take you guys through my final wildcard draft just before that Game Week 9 deadline. Now I did actually upload an initial draft at the beginning of the international break, so I thought for kind of a conclusion to you wildcarders, I drop my final draft and show you the final changes. Now right off the bat, I'm not on a wildcard, I actually wildcarded in blank Game Week 8, so I just want to get that out the way before you guys think I've got two wildcards. Now if you guys do have any comments about my wildcard draft or any questions, drop them in the comments down below on my Discord server, or if you're on the deadline stream tomorrow 1 hour before the deadline, you guys can also ask them then. But for now, this is as good as I can kind of produce. Lots of content will probably come from those Friday press conferences as I'm recording this on Thursday night. But nevertheless, I'm going to be going through the wildcard draft and the team selection for Game Week 9 and Game Week 12. As you guys know, it's quite an obstruction with that blank for Man City and Arsenal, so we'll talk about that at the end of the video. But for now, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going on to the actual wildcard draft, I'm going to be going over it in this kind of full starting 15, as on a wildcard you guys can change every single position on your team. Next talking point will be all about the team selection heading into the upcoming Game Week 9. Now right off the bat, I want to tell you that this draft is pretty template, 1 or 2 changes from my initial draft, but I do think that you guys can look at this as a template and then just adjust it or add your own flavor with 1 or 2 rotations. Now my goalkeeper pairing of choice is actually going to be Guaita at 4.5 and Danny Ward at 4.0. Right now with Danny Ward, there's some speculation about potentially Iverson coming into the lineup, so I would just stay tuned to kind of the Leicester news, because if Iverson does play instead of Danny Ward, I would therefore go with him. But in terms of Guaita, he's going to be your goalkeeper for most of the game weeks from now till Game Week 16, as I really do like those Crystal Palace fixtures. Now yes, I know in the Ultimate Guide, we've just kind of stated how bad Crystal Palace have been from an XG conceded point of view, but they have had some tough fixtures, and I do trust Patrick Vieira's team. Now there are some other alternatives that you guys can look at. I personally won't really go for Nick Pope. The fixtures for Newcastle aren't that great in my opinion, and that's why I think Guaita is a much better goalie from now till then. Now yes, there has been some concern about potentially Sam Johnson was signed in the transfer window. He could potentially come into the lineup, but I do think it's Guaita's place to lose, but I would also stay tuned to maybe some Crystal Palace news. Now heading on to our backline, the first player might be slightly controversial, but as I stated in my ultimate guide or my wildcard ultimate guide, I would definitely go with Trent Alexander-Arnold. I just think on a wildcard, Game Week 9's fixture against Brighton is a perfect fixture for Alexander-Arnold and Liverpool to rebound on, and even though they do face Man City and Arsenal next, Liverpool always do well against the better teams. I just think come Game Week 12 you want Trent anyway, so why not bring him in now instead of penciling in that move. The next player is going to be Cancelo, and for me he's a no-brainer. Any Man City defender, I think you guys have to own at least one of them. The Man City defense has been rock solid this season, and unfortunately Cancelo hasn't really been there from an attacking point of view, so if you guys do need money, I can understand maybe a downgrade to an Akanji, maybe even a Ruben Diaz. But right now, I have the value in the bank, so Cancelo is going to be my man of choice, as he is nailed in that Pep Guardiola starting 11. Then we have Reece James to kind of complete our 3 premium defense. You guys would have seen this in my initial draft. I love this kind of back 3 of Trent, Cancelo, and James. And James is an absolute no-brainer for me because of those Chelsea fixtures. Now my only slight concern about Reece James is the potential fact that maybe Graham Potter hasn't sorted out his full starting 11 or his strongest starting 11 yet. Maybe Reece James might not be part of that, but I highly doubt that. I do think Reece James is going to start at either right wing back or right back, depending on what formation they do play. So in terms of the back 3, it's a no-brainer for me. We are kind of missing out on Trippier in that more premium or mid-range option, but I don't think he has better fixtures than any of the 3 of these. Now the final 2 defenders to go for kind of going to be our rotation pieces. Some nice value is going to be stored here. The first one, Gay from Crystal Palace, just dropped in price this week, so you guys can get him at 4.3. Then finally Neco Williams, because he is nailed in the Nottingham Forest team and his attacking stats are pretty strong. So these 2 options I don't really rely on for our starting 11, but for rotation pieces, they are quite nice. Then heading on to the midfield department, we spoke about Trent in the ultimate guide as well as Salah. I do think Salah is the go-to premium in that midfield department. You guys could always rotate this though. I've seen some options potentially start with the Kevin De Bruyne this week, go to Son next week, then Salah in Game Week 12. That's 100% fine. You guys could also do that. But as I say, this is going to be the template and you want Salah Game Week 12 anyways. So you might as well just stick him in there, and I think he might tick along nicely even against Arsenal and Man City. Now, I think the big thing about Trent and Salah that I do like is they rest over the international break. You guys know this is a very fixture congested period, and any rest is a good rest at the end of the day. But I guess now you're hoping that Liverpool do rebound, but I do expect them to. But you always take a punt, as I mentioned, go with the Son or KDB over the next 3, and then bring Salah in come Game Week 12. A play that you definitely do want though over the next 2 is going to be James Maddison, with Nottingham Forest at home and then Bournemouth away in the next 2. So no brainer there. I don't think there's going to be any concerns about James Maddison. No hate comments down below like with Salah and Trent. Everyone seems to be okay with Maddison because of that nice run of fixtures. Now yes, Leicester's attack has not been as strong as they've been in prior seasons, but at least they are still an attacking side, and because they can't stop conceding goals, they can't stop scoring them. Then we do have another no-brainer pick here with Wilfried Zaha. From Game Week 10, you want him onwards because from Game Week 10 to 16, like Guaita, the fixtures are absolutely prime, and that's why I've stuck with him here, even though he has Chelsea at home in Game Week 9. The final option, Martinelli, is going nowhere in anyone's teams. Smith Rowe unfortunately just kind of went into surgery today or yesterday and will be out till December, so Martinelli should be absolutely nailed in that starting 11. Now, I had him at the start of the season, and if you guys did as well, I wouldn't want to lose the value on him because I think come that nice run of fixtures, you want him in anyways. Then our final budget option is going to be Andreas Pereira at 4.5 million. Yes, I know that Willian has taken most of the set pieces off him. You guys go for another alternative, but I just think there's not too many options out there at 4.5, and that's where the Fulham cam is going to be my selection. Kind of reviewing the midfield department, I generally think that this 5 kind of picks themselves. The only option that you might want to exclude is going to be Salah. You could always go for KDB or Son over this run of tough fixtures, and then bring him in come Game Week 12 with value in the bank. So that could be a potential improvement depending on how you guys do see Salah. Then going on to our final 3, very template here yet again. The first player, no complaints, Erling Haaland. You definitely want some Man City coverage and you want some effective ownership coverage, as Erling Haaland's ownership is off the charts. Might even be a perma captain for the next couple games up until that Game Week 12 blank for Man City, and that's why I definitely won't go without him. United at home up next, the derby, pretty sure it's going to be keen for that. Southampton at home after that, great fixture on paper, and then finally Liverpool, which might be a little bit of a tough game. The second forward to cover is going to be Mitrovic. Hopefully in the press conference on Friday, the Fulham manager does say that Mitrovic is back and he should be fine after the international break, as he has picked up a little bit of a knock over this past week. But if he's going to be back fit, definitely would include him, as the Fulham fixtures are quite strong and he is a talisman after all. Now the final forward to go for, and I can't get too much hate here because if you guys like the rest of my team, I had to go for Solanke at 5.7 million to afford it. So I know Solanke is not the best kind of option to go for at his price point though. I think he is adequate. I don't expect him to get a hat-trick every single week. As long as he ticks along nicely over this nice run of fixtures for Bournemouth, I'm perfectly fine with that. But yes, if you guys want to kind of save money, downgrade Trent, you could upgrade Solanke to whoever you want. Ivan Toney will probably be quite popular, but I did like that back 3 defense. Now in terms of talking points about the current draft or the current template, one is probably going to be the fact that I haven't included Kieran Trippier here. I do know that Trippier is a great asset, but I just prefer the back 3. As mentioned with Nick Pope, I don't really like the Newcastle fixtures, and that's why I needed them to do well in Game Week 8 against Bournemouth. But you guys might disagree with me. You might think Trent and Solanke, rather go for Trippier and Toney, the double T, might be better, and that's 100% fine, and that could be your own flavor on this draft. Also in the comments down below, let me know what other flavors you guys are potentially looking at. Maybe Cancelo downgrade to afford another asset, maybe a Salah downgrade to a KDB or Son. What are you kind of doing on this template? Now the final part of this video is going to be looking at the team selections for Game Week 9 and Game Week 12. You guys want to see the fixtures after all on any team, and the starting 11s look pretty respectable in both these 2 game weeks. The first one's going to cover Game Week 9, and as you guys can see bottom right hand side, 0.1 in the bank. So if you guys had 0.1 less than me, you can afford this draft. If you had more money than me, you can always do some upgrades, but if you can't afford it, then I might just downgrade maybe a Gay to a cheaper option. So starting off on the bench, we've got Guaita, Andreas, Gay, and Williams. Kind of picks itself in my opinion. I don't really like that Chelsea fixture for Crystal Palace, but that does mean that we are starting Danny Ward in goal. So that might be a little bit of a contentious point there. You might go for Guaita, but I actually do trust Danny Ward to get a clean sheet more than Guaita against Chelsea. Now you guys might disagree with me on that, 100% fine. Just stick Guaita in your starting 11, but I wanted to add a little bit of a spice to the starting 11. Going on to the back 3, kind of picks itself. Cancelo, Trent, and Reece James. Fixtures look pretty strong on paper, and I do think all 3 of these could keep a clean sheet potentially, but also those attacking threats might be a bonus. Going on to the midfield department, we have Salah, Maddison, Martinelli, and then finally Zaha. Zaha probably the toughest fixture there against Chelsea. Who kind of knows however how they're going to set up under Graham Potter. Martinelli has the North London derby. Maddison has the best fixture on paper in Game Week 9. And finally Mo Salah against Brighton, which I think is a pretty fine fixture. So there is some concern about uncertainties here with our midfield department. Obviously Salah against Brighton under the new manager who kind of knows how they're going to set up. Graham Potter still pretty new at Chelsea, and if they do get things right, maybe Zaha does blank. Then finally our forward department, Haaland against United, Mitrovic against Newcastle at home, and then finally Solanke with the home fixture as well against Brentford. So it's really nice about this Game Week 9 team selections. Most of our players do have home fixtures, besides maybe Reece James against Crystal Palace, but then we also have Zaha that might counter him. So in terms of home fixtures, always do favour them over away games, so hopefully this Game Week 9 team selection does quite well for you wildcarders. Overall, no really kind of big talking points. I think maybe Guaita over Ward could be one, and that's why I did mention please watch out for Iverson, because if he does start, I would rather have Iverson in goal. But now we're going to go on to the Game Week 12 team selection. As I mentioned in the introduction, the reason why I'm going over this is that if you guys do wildcard in Game Week 9, you have to be prepared for the blank of Man City vs Arsenal come Game Week 12. Now you guys know we own multiple options from those selected teams. Luckily though, KDB is not in this kind of team selection or wildcard draft, and therefore we don't have to worry about him. But if you do have KDB, no concerns there. Bottom right hand side, 3 transfers in the bank, so you guys can always use those from Game Week 10 to Game Week 12 to prepare for the upcoming blank. So starting off on our bench, I've decided to bench Haaland, Cancelo and Martinelli. All 3 of those have good fixtures after this from Game Week 13 to Game Week 16, and therefore you guys want to keep those Man City and those Arsenal assets. Danny Ward on the bench because I don't really trust him against Leeds, and that's going to mean that we are starting Guaita in goal. Going to the back 4, we've got Gay kind of partnering Guaita. Wolves at home, very nice fixture in my opinion. Wolves are struggling from an attacking point of view as we discussed in the Wildcard Ultimate Guide, so hopefully they do keep a clean sheet. We then have James against Brentford away. Tough game, I guess, with the form that Tony and Brentford are on. We have Trent against West Ham at home. Fine fixture in my opinion. Then Neco Williams, which might be a little bit of a concern against Brighton away. But at least Neco Williams, like the other 3, have this attacking threat that might actually get us some points. They go on to midfield department, Salah, Madison, Zaha, and then finally Andreas. So yes, we will actually be starting Andreas, but they are facing Aston Villa at home, which is a fine fixture in my opinion. We then have Salah against West Ham, could be a captain going to Game Week 12. Madison against Leeds, perfectly fine. Then also have Zaha against Wolves, which I think he could do quite well against. Then finally in our forward department, Mitrovic against Aston Villa, good fixture on paper, and Solanke at home against Southampton, who have actually been defending pretty well. But like Game Week 9, Game Week 12, a lot of home fixtures here, a lot of hope for this kind of game week, and at least now that you are prepared with a full starting 11 on your Game Week 9 wildcard. But obviously with those 3 free transfers, you guys will use them from Game Week 10 to Game Week 12 to actually get a better starting selection than this current one. But I just wanted to show you that at least now that you guys don't actually have to use any transfers, as you do have a pure starting 11 for Game Week 12's blank. But let me know any thoughts you guys have on this current wildcard draft. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or are you somewhere in the middle? What changes would you guys do to make it better? But this is basically a wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you're new, subscribed yet. I'll be hopefully see you guys in the deadline stream 1 hour before the deadline on Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are around the world. But I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.